The world of One Piece has many devil fruits, with each having interesting and otherworldly abilities, but not all devil fruits are created equally. While some fruits grant incredible abilities such as lightning control, creating earthquakes, or even becoming a literal god, others are not so incredible. The right devil fruit can turn a character from not so impressive to a force of nature. Some characters are near unstoppable with their devil fruits, but without it they are pretty unimpressive. There have been many examples of characters whose abilities have taken them to great heights, which begs the question, how strong would these characters be without their devil fruits? As a result, I have decided to create this series called Carried, where I will look at how strong a character is with their devil fruit, and then gauge how strong they would be without it. The goal of this series is to look at various devil fruit users across the series, and at the end of the video we will answer one question: is this character being carried by their devil fruit or not? Every devil fruit user forms a fighting style around their devil fruit, but some rely on their fruits more than others. It's time to find out who is carried by their fruit and who is not. Out of all of the supernovas introduced during the Sabaody arc, Eustace Captain Kidd was a supernova many fans had high expectations for. A man introduced with a higher bounty than even Luffy, and the only other supernova to have a crewmate was the supernova himself. With the help of the Jiki Jiki no Mi, Kidd made it from a rookie in paradise to becoming one of the strongest pirates in the New World, even aiding in the dethroning of one of the 4 emperors. But can all of his success be credited to his devil fruit, or is there more to see here? If it wasn't obvious enough, in this episode of the Carried series, we are evaluating the Shanks victim himself, Eustace Captain Kidd. In this video we are going to answer the question, is Eustace Kidd being carried by his devil fruit or not? Let's get started. When we look at Kidd's durability and endurance, he has some pretty good feats. He was seemingly unaffected by gunfire. These pirates mentioned that they shot him multiple times before bringing him back to the Udon prison. Kidd was still under the effects of the sea stone handcuffs, so he was not able to use Haki, which means that Kidd, who was a regular human, was shot multiple times and was barely affected. Kidd was also repeatedly tortured by the Beast Pirates for weeks, if not over a month. Even on the day Luffy was sent to the Udon prison, Kidd was visibly injured, meaning that he was probably tortured recently. The fact that Kidd was tortured repeatedly without being broken is a testament to his conviction and endurance. On the rooftop, he took a direct hit from Big Mom straight to the face and barely even blinked. He survived an Elbaf spear from Big Mom and a barrage of attacks from one of Big Mom's strongest moves, the 3000 Leagues of Misery. All of that after he took continuous damage from Basil Hawkins' Devil Fruit ability. He was still able to help Law defeat Big Mom even after taking all of that damage, which just goes to show how great his durability and endurance actually is. This last point is a weird flex, but I had to bring it up. He was able to survive a Conqueror's Haki coded attack from Shanks, and Shanks has been repeatedly shown to have the most impressive Conqueror's Haki feats in the series. A weird take, I know, but it still shows how great Kidd's durability actually is. Like most Devil Fruit users, Kidd relies on his Devil Fruit to amplify his own movement speed, and to be honest, even with his Devil Fruit, he isn't very fast. With and without his Devil Fruit, Kidd has subpar movement speed. When we look at Kidd's reaction speed, he was able to dodge a surprise attack from Basil Hawkins, and was able to keep up with Big Mom's attacks during their fight, meaning that he does have some pretty solid reaction speed. With his Devil Fruit, Kidd had absolutely insane range. He was able to affect all of the metal in his surroundings, disarming enemies and even ripping out support structures in the buildings around him. He was even able to use a railgun attack capable of wiping out an entire fleet of ships in one blast. He was even able to create a half-mech creation that enabled him to fly, giving him even more range. Without his Devil Fruit, Kidd is just left with his metal arm to use as a weapon. I know Kidd was able to create a metal arm thanks to his Devil Fruit, but I will come back to why he could still have his metal arm later in the video. During the pre-time skip, Kidd was shown having a pistol and a knife on him, but it is unknown how proficient he is with those weapons. I would argue that since we have already seen Kidd utilize weapons such as harpoon guns, he would at least have harpoon guns and regular guns in his arsenal, and he should be fairly competent at using them, since it is similar to how he fights with his Devil Fruit at times. When we look at Kidd's attack power and destructive capabilities, he is pretty stacked in these departments. As I mentioned earlier, one of Kidd's attacks was about to wipe out an entire fleet of ships. With Punk Rotten, Kidd was able to slam Kaido into the ground, and with Punk Gibson, Kidd was able to pick up and slam Big Mom. Kidd's Punk Cornadillo was even able to overpower and damage Big Mom. When you take away Kidd's Devil Fruit, there isn't much to see. We have never even seen Kidd attempt to fight anyone without the use of his Devil Fruit. It is unclear how strong Kidd's striking strength would be without his Devil Fruit. Does he hit as strong as Luffy or as weak as Usopp? We just don't know. We do know that Kidd has immense physical strength, as he was able to carry large stones in the Udon prison with only one arm, and this was still whilst he was being suppressed by the sea stone handcuffs. Now with every character in the series, I have to think, how would this character fight without their Devil Fruit? For some characters the answer is simple, but for other characters it can get pretty interesting. I mentioned that I would come back to Kidd's metal arm, and now's the time. So you might be thinking that since Kidd doesn't have a Devil Fruit, he would end up with just one arm. but I would argue that he would still have 2 arms. Someone like Law can be both the captain and the doctor of his crew, and I believe that something similar is going on with Kid. Ever since he was a child, Kid appeared to be fascinated by robots, and seemed to like creating things. Kid may be the shipwright of his own crew, or at the very least, he is proficient at making weapons. With his Devil Fruit, Kid was able to create a half-mech-like robot, harpoon guns, and even a railgun. This isn't magic. The fact that he created those weapons with his Devil Fruit leads me to believe that he could still create those weapons without a Devil Fruit, so he should be able to create his own weapons. Without his Devil Fruit, I could see Kid creating a cybernetic arm full of different weapons, and in general, I could see Kid becoming more of a weapon specialist. Even if you don't subscribe to the idea of Kid being able to make a replacement arm, he could always acquire one through other means. We have already seen that he knows about the underground weapons market of the One Piece world, so if he doesn't purchase a replacement arm, he could always steal one, or even force someone to make him one. We have also seen lesser characters such as Gotti from Capone's crew, and Scotch from Kaido's Winter Island, using weaponized mechanical arms. Without his Devil Fruit, I could see Kid having something similar. Even though he isn't canon, think about someone like Zephyr from Film Z, who uses his mechanical arm as his main weapon. Or for even better examples, look at Frankie and Queen, 2 cyborgs with many weapons throughout their body. I could see Kid having a gun in his cybernetic arm similar to Frankie, and maybe even a small cannon in his arm, capable of firing beams similar to the Damned Punk, albeit a weaker version. Depending on how smart or mechanically gifted you think Kid is, he may be able to create all sorts of weapons, but for right now, I will stick to what we have seen him create: harpoon guns and rail guns. Overall, without his Devil Fruit, I could see his metal arm becoming his main weapon and form of combat, and besides the metal arm, he could also use things like harpoon guns and regular guns. Looking past the metal arm, Kid does possess all 3 types of Haki, but after looking at his performance during the raid on Onigashima, he does not appear to be proficient in any form of Haki. He did showcase observation Haki by dodging Hawkins' attack and sensing Luffy on the rooftop when he was fighting against Kaido, but overall Kid's Haki proficiency needs a lot of work. He doesn't have advanced Conqueror's Haki, or Future Sight, or even Ryo. With all of that being said, we have reached the end. It is time to answer the question: is Eustace Kid being carried by his Devil Fruit or not? Looking at everything discussed, Kid has pretty solid durability and endurance, below average movement speed, solid reaction speed, mediocre range, and next to no real attack power or destructive capability. And the answer is yes, he is absolutely carried by his Devil Fruit. The fact that we've never seen any impressive Haki feats from Kid, or even any attacks without his Devil Fruit, leads me to believe that he is completely reliant on his Devil Fruit for combat. I speculated that he could still make use of a cybernetic arm outfitted with weapons, but even then there's only so far he could go without better Haki. If Kid showcases better fighting capabilities outside of his Devil Fruit, or refines his Haki, then I might change my opinion. Kid's will was shown to be very strong, since his will was never crushed in the Udon prison, so there is a chance the Kid would have very powerful Conqueror's Haki. But hey, this is just my opinion, and you can let me know yours in the comments. And if you liked this video, you can check out my last video in this series about Law right here, or you can hear my top 5 reasons why you should be hyped for Elbaf right here. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, or a dislike if you didn't, and consider subscribing for more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching.